What's up, everyone? So I thought I'd do a quick project truck update since it's been a little bit. So as you can see, I've got the bed back off. That's to get access to the fuel pump, so I can upgrade that when I do the 5.3. I also needed to get to the cab corners. So as you can see here, these have been replaced before. They just overlap. Say about, it was that much, say they 8 to 10 inches probably of overlap, and my new panels come all the way up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of this off. I'm going to butt weld them together so there's not going to be any overlap. You can kind of see a little bit of a curve right here. That's where they just hammered this thing in and set it on top to where it sat more flush, and I don't like that. Sorry, you can see the big booger welds I've got going right there. Up here wasn't as bad, but I mean it was still, they still attacked it pretty heavy with the grinder. I took a ton of Bondo off of this side. The other side's just as bad, and you can see the rocker panel in here. They did the same thing right here as far as just welding the new rocker panel right over it. Now this weld actually looks pretty good, at least right there in that little area. Still hit it with the grinder a little bit, but yeah, that one looks a lot better. It must have been a little bit thicker piece of metal or something. They had their settings more dialed in, but either way, it wasn't the right way to fix it. It's definitely the lazy way. So now it's my problem to have to fix. Today I've mostly just been working on panel alignment. So you can see we've got a nice even gap now from top to bottom. Before, this used to be really tight, and you can see right here where it was actually hitting the fender every time I would open the door. I don't know what happened right here. Something was hanging off a truck and hit me as I went past it. So I need to fill in that little nick right there. But when I welded this body mount bracket on, this side of the frame was fine, but the mount, the hole right here that the bushing sits on, was all rusted out, so the bushing would fall through it. So I cut it off and welded it on, and I welded it up at an angle a little bit too high, and so that threw out the panel alignment over there by the door. So now I notched this, and I've pulled it down with ratchet straps, notched it front and on the back here. So it's sitting much better now. This will be the first time closing the hood with it like that. See, it still doesn't fit right over here. It is better, but there's still a little bit of a gap right there that I don't necessarily like, and I may have to come up just a little bit on this side with it, because I've got a pretty decent gap up here towards the top, and then it gets a little bit tighter down here at the bottom. It looks pretty decent, but that side may have to come up just a touch to even out the hood line. And I did get a quote from Mako. They're right over there across the street. Is that their building? Yeah, I believe that's their building. Yeah, they're somewhere right over there across the street. I took the mower over there the other day, as some of you may have seen on my Instagram, and they quoted me about $1,000 for a full repaint, and that's including the back of the cab, front of the bed, so bed off. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be prepping the body for that. I need to remove these guys. I need to remove the trim piece down there at the front of the fender. I'm going to shoot some more paint on the frame, because as you can see, I got it a little bit thin back here just because I did not see very well in the garage. The lighting wasn't too great. But now that it's outside, I can actually get a better look at it. I can see some spots that I need to touch up. So I got more paint to do that. I think I'm going to replace these brackets down here too, because that one's not horrible, that one's not horrible. That one is pretty well gone. And that one is where a bolt actually goes through. As you can see, it's still there on that side. And it actually was rusted so bad, I put my impact on it and it spun that whole end of the bracket around, and was just a total production to try to get off. So I think I'm gonna replace all those. A lot of spot welds to drill out, and they're kind of expensive parts, but I kind of need them. Excuse me. So I'm kind of on the fence. I've already got the pieces to replace this piece of metal here, fix the rust there. I would need to buy these pieces, which I think are $300 to $400, I think, for the full set, which is a little bit salty, in my opinion, for what I'm getting. It's just some C-channel steel, but I'm kind of on the fence. Do I even keep this bed, or do I just find a new bed since I'm getting the whole truck repainted? I found one for 250 bucks that looked okay on Craigslist. I would have to go and see it in person to see if it's really what I want, but the odds of finding a good short bed with no rust on it at this age is kind of hard. So at this point, the front end's gonna have to come off to do the engine. I mean, it wouldn't have to, but it's gonna be easier if I do. I think I am gonna keep this transmission for a bit. I also got the piece of trim, that gold piece there that goes between the grill and the bumper. So I think I'm gonna keep this transmission for the time being. I don't feel like spending the $6 grand on the T56 Magnum just yet. A little overkill. So I think right now, I'm gonna sit right here in my little chair. I'm gonna think on this for a little bit, figure out what it is I wanna do next. I have the 5.3 kind of put together. So this has new plugs, new wires, new belt. It's got a reman alternator, reman starter. They were on it when I got it. I put the intake manifold on it off of the 4.8. So that's the manifold from the 5.3 I'll be using. And I did that because it has the EGR already blocked off from the factory. And I ran the factory 4.8 exhaust manifold on this side because it does not have the EGR bung coming out of it there. Just to clean it up a little bit, get rid of that. So by default, this is also the 4.8 throttle body. Something that was different about it is this vacuum fitting right here on the 5.3 actually came out of the throttle body right here and had a steel fitting that was a little bit longer. I'm not sure what the significance of that is, but you know, whatever. One problem that I do have with this manifold that I did not have with the other is the 4.8, if you notice, there's no fuel pressure regulator. So the 4.8 had a cable-driven throttle body and a returnless style fuel system. Whereas the 5.3 fuel rails, I'm gonna keep the truck a return style system. There's no vacuum port right here for the fuel pressure regulator. So I need to figure out how to put a port in there for that. Now these caps, this is the cap that that fuel pressure regulator went to, or the port. And it looks like if I were to just break that guy off, this one should just super glue on. Now, that could cause a vacuum leak. I don't want to just break that one off and risk breaking the manifold to where I can't fix it. So that's kind of a, damn it, close. That's kind of a challenge that I see myself facing here in a minute. And then this old style 5.3 cover right here, the 5.360 4.8 cover. It doesn't bolt to this manifold. The back bolt does bolt right here, but on the older 5.3 manifold, this plug right here was threaded right here. Focus, there we go. So only one bolt hole would hold that on, and it'll rattle around really bad, and I don't like it. So a couple of little challenges to get over, nothing too major, but just little things to think on. So I've got some deciding to do on the direction I want to go with my parts buying. But anyway, that's kind of the race truck update for the week or the month or whenever the hell I decide to put out my next video. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Peace.